The cafe fell silent as a coffee cup shattered on the floor, laughter erupting from a group of jeering men. "You call that a soldier?" they taunted the woman in the wheelchair. Minutes later, the rumble of military vehicles shook the ground, and dozens of soldiers in combat gear encircled the cafe, called to honor a hero they wouldn't let be mocked. Every morning at precisely 8:30, Captain Evelyn Hart wheeled herself into Lila's diner in Austin, Texas, the aroma of sizzling bacon, freshly brewed coffee, and warm cinnamon rolls enveloping her like a comforting embrace. At 41, Evelyn carried the physical legacy of her military past in her sculpted arms, a testament to the rigorous training that had defined her 20-year career before an ambush in Mosul in 2017 altered her life forever. The wheelchair, a sleek black model customized for her needs, had been her companion for 7 years, a silent reminder of the day she'd spotted a sniper's glint seconds before chaos erupted, saving her squad but losing the use of her legs to a devastating explosion. The scars on her hands, jagged reminders of flying shrapnel, told a story of survival she rarely shared. "Morning, Evelyn," called Lila, the diner's owner, a stout woman with silver-streaked hair and a voice like honey, from behind the counter. Her hands moved with practiced ease, pouring coffee and plating food. "The usual. Pancakes with a side of black coffee?" Evelyn nodded, her faint smile creasing the lines around her hazel eyes. "Yes, please, and maybe an extra napkin or 2. Spills happen." She wore a simple gray sweater, soft from years of wear, paired with faded jeans, but 2 items were her constants: a woven bracelet in red, white, and blue, crafted from parachute cord by a fallen comrade during a quiet night in the desert, and a creased letter from the Secretary of Defense, its edges worn from frequent handling, thanking her for her bravery in saving 4 teammates under fire. The letter stayed nestled in her pocket, a quiet anchor on days when the weight of her past pressed too hard. Today, however, promised to test that anchor. The diner buzzed with its usual morning crowd, truck drivers nursing coffees, retirees lingering over newspapers, a young mother chasing a toddler, when Evelyn maneuvered toward her usual corner booth. The space was her sanctuary, a spot where the morning light filtered through the window, casting a warm glow on the worn wooden table. But as she adjusted her chair, a loose floorboard snagged a wheel, jolting her forward. The plate of steaming pancakes Lila had just handed her slipped from her lap, crashing to the freshly mopped floor in a mess of syrup and batter. "Damn it," she muttered, leaning down awkwardly, her scarred fingers fumbling to retrieve the wreckage, the effort sending a sharp ache through her shoulders. Laughter erupted from a nearby table, sharp and cutting through the diner's hum. 3 men, likely in their mid-20s, dressed in flashy athletic gear, sneakers with neon logos, branded hoodies, sipped overpriced lattes and pointed at her. The tallest, with a cocky grin and a buzzed haircut, leaned forward, his voice deliberately loud. "Nice drop, huh? Guess that's what happens when they let anyone join the army." His friends, one with a man bun and another with mirrored sunglasses perched on his head, chuckled, their amusement a stark contrast to the room's sudden stillness. Evelyn ignored them, focusing on the sticky mess, but the ringleader, Jake, as his friend later called him, stood and sauntered over, his sneakers squeaking on the floor. "Hey, I'm talking to you," he said, his tone rising. "You're supposed to be a soldier. America must be scraping the barrel if they took you." His friends egged him on, their laughter growing. "Yeah, Jake. Maybe she's too deaf from all those explosions," the man-bun quipped, loud enough for the whole diner to hear. The room grew quieter, the clink of cutlery fading as patrons turned their heads, some out of curiosity, others in discomfort. A young waiter, Carlos, a lanky 19-year-old with a nervous smile, froze mid-step, with a coffee pot, his dark eyes flicking toward Lila, who busied herself at the register, her jaw tight. "I hear you just fine," Evelyn said at last, her voice low but firm, carrying the weight of years spent commanding troops. "Better than you might think." Jake smirked, looming over her, his shadow falling across her face. Oh, a tough vet with a flag bracelet? Adorable. What's next? A medal for dropping breakfast? Her hands trembled as she reached again, the pancakes slipping once more, the syrup smearing her fingers. The trio's laughter crescendoed. Can't even handle a plate. Some hero. Jake mimicked her movements, exaggerating a shaky reach, drawing more snickers, his performance a cruel parody. Evelyn clenched her jaw, staring ahead as the humiliation echoed, her mind flashing to Mosul. Dust, screams, the weight of her squad's lives on her shoulders. Carlos approached with a replacement plate, his voice a whisper. "I'm sorry, ma'am. This one's on us." Before she could thank him, Jake cut in. "Special treatment for the hero." "Shocker." Carlos's face reddened and he retreated, quickly disappearing into the kitchen. Evelyn unwrapped the new pancakes slowly, her appetite gone, her fingers brushing the letter in her pocket for strength. Inside her wallet was a photo of her unit. 6 faces in desert fatigues, laughing under a rare clear sky, 3 now marked with black ribbons from losses in that ambush, their names etched in her memory. Private Diaz, Corporal Nguyen, Sergeant Patel. Around the diner, patrons shifted uncomfortably. An older woman with a crossword puzzle turned a page loudly, her pencil scratching as if to drown out the noise. A father ushered his toddler out, head down, the child's sippy cup clattering against the table. A college student plugged in earbuds, typing furiously on his laptop, his screen glowing with social media feeds. No one intervened, except a little girl, about 6 in a Wonder Woman shirt, her dark pigtails bouncing as she stared at Evelyn with wide, curious eyes from the next table. "Mommy, is she a real soldier?" she asked, her voice clear and innocent. Her mother, a harried woman with a stroller, hushed her quickly, pulling her close, but the girl's gaze lingered, unblinking. Evelyn gripped her wheels, ready to leave. Early, for the first time in 7 years, the routine broken by this public shaming. Her phone buzzed, the screen showing Liam, with a photo of her son in his army dress uniform, his boyish grin a stark contrast to the day's tension. "Mom!" His voice was urgent, cutting through the diner's silence. "I just got a video from Carlos's cousin. What's happening?" Evelyn glanced at Carlos, who was wiping a table nearby, his movements jerky, and sighed. "It's nothing. Liam. Just some guys being idiots. I'm fine." "Mom, those aren't kids. They're jerks," Liam snapped, his tone hardening. "Where are you sitting?" "My usual spot," she admitted, her voice soft. A pause stretched, heavy with unspoken intent. "Stay there. I'm coming." Liam, no. But he'd hung up. Jake, watching, smirked, leaning closer. "Calling." "Reinforcements? Hope they send someone who can walk." His friends laughed, though the man-bun seemed less enthusiastic, his smirk faltering. Evelyn closed her eyes briefly, took a deep breath, and began eating methodically, her dignity a shield, against their taunts. The little girl kept watching, her expression shifting to something like awe, a silent witness to her resolve. Exactly 30 minutes after Liam's call, the diner trembled with the deep rumble of engines, a vibration that rattled the windows and silenced the last whispers. Through the glass, the sight of 2 Humvees and a light armored vehicle, desert tan with sharp military insignia, pulled into the parking lot, their tires crunching gravel as they blocked the entrance and obscured the street view. Jake's smirk vanished, his posture slumping. "What the hell?" he muttered, sinking back into his chair, his latte forgotten. The cafe fell into a profound silence, the clatter of dishes ceasing as a dozen soldiers in full combat gear emerged from the vehicles, moving with the precision of a synchronized dance honed by years of training. Their uniforms were dusty, yet impeccable, camouflage patterns blending with the morning light, their boots polished despite the journey. They formed a perimeter around the building, their movements deliberate, not rushed, a quiet statement of purpose. The bell above the door jingled softly as a soldier entered, tall, with captain's bars gleaming on his shoulders and a face, etched with the weathered lines of combat, a scar tracing his left cheek. His eyes, sharp and assessing, scanned the room methodically until they found Evelyn in her corner. Without hesitation, he strode to her table, stopping precisely 2 feet away, and snapped a perfect military salute, his gloved hand crisp against his forehead. "Captain Evelyn Hart," he said, his voice a commanding baritone that filled the now silent café. "Echo Company, 3rd Battalion, reporting as ordered." Evelyn's breath caught, her eyes widening in recognition. "Captain, Reese, Liam sent you." Reese nodded, a faint smile breaking his stern demeanor, then turned to address the diner, his gaze settling on Jake and his friends with an intensity that made them shrink. "This establishment contains a woman who deserves your respect, Captain. Evelyn Hart, combat medic, lost the use of her legs saving 4 soldiers from a sniper ambush in Mosul, 2017. She is my mother-in-law's commanding officer and my unit's hero." Jake's friends paled, the man bun muttering, "Oh crap," under his breath while Jake half rose, his chair scraping the floor, only to freeze as another soldier, a broad-shouldered private with a steely gaze, blocked his path. "Leaving so soon?" the private asked coolly, his voice low but laced with threat. "Got something to say to a real soldier first?" Jake sank back, his bravado evaporating, his friends following suit, their designer gear suddenly looking out of place. Evelyn sat still, her hands resting on her wheels, a single tear tracing, her cheek catching the morning light streaming through the window in a prism of emotion. Reese knelt beside her, placing a unit insignia patch, embroidered with a soaring eagle, on the table beside her half-eaten pancakes. "The men who served. With you asked me to bring this," he said softly, his voice carrying in the silence. "Private Nguyen's daughter just enlisted, inspired by your stories. Sergeant Mitchell's son, too. He joined because of the tales his father told about you in Mosul." More soldiers filed in, their boots echoing softly, lining the walls, in a spontaneous honor guard. One by one, they came to attention, saluting with a precision that spoke of respect, not obligation. The first soldier after Reese, a young corporal with a prosthetic leg, stepped forward. "Apologies for the delay, ma'am. Traffic was rough. Construction on I-35. Evelyn scanned the faces. Some she recognized from Liam's updates, others, strangers, but all wore the same expression, reverence. The little girl in the Wonder Woman shirt watched, her mouth open in awe. Leela emerged from the counter, her apron dusted with flour, her voice unsteady. "Captain Hart, your meals are on the house from now on. Always." Evelyn nodded, her throat tight with gratitude. Reese helped her navigate toward the door, the path now flanked by saluting soldiers, their combat gear a stark contrast to the diner's cozy interior. Patrons rose, the elderly man with the crossword removing his cap to press it to his heart, his gnarled fingers trembling. The little girl's mother whispered, "That's what bravery looks like," as Mia beamed, clutching her mother's hand. Jake and his friends slumped, shame etched in their postures. No need for arrests. The moment had humbled them more than any punishment could. The quieter friend, the one with mirrored sunglasses, approached Lila after Evelyn passed. I didn't know. Can I help clean up?" he offered, his voice small. Lila nodded, handing him a broom, and he began sweeping, a tentative step toward redemption. The diner's regulars started talking again, their voices softer, more reflective, the air thick with a newfound awareness. Outside, the unit surrounded. Evelyn, Liam stepping from a Humvee, his uniform crisp despite the early hour. "You didn't have to do this," she said, her voice breaking. "Yes, Mom, we did," he replied, his tone firm, his eyes glistening. The convoy's presence drew a small crowd, locals whispering as they recognized the military might assembled for one woman. Evelyn felt the weight of their respect, a balm to the morning's wounds, her son's pride a shield against the past. Mia darted forward, thrusting a crumpled drawing into Evelyn's hands, a stick figure in a wheelchair with a cape, crayon, colors bold and bright. "You're my hero," she declared before scurrying back to her mother. Evelyn smiled, her first genuine smile of the day, tucking the drawing with her letter, the gesture warming her heart. The soldiers dispersed to patrol the perimeter, ensuring no further disturbance, their presence a lingering testament to her honor. The incident at Lila's diner spread like wildfire, fueled by Carlos's cousin posting the video online. The footage of Evelyn's quiet dignity juxtaposed with the soldiers' arrival garnering millions of views by midday. Comments flooded in. Shame. Never forget. Respect. A digital chorus of support that reached beyond Austin. Liam's unit remained in town for a few days, turning the event into a community moment. They pitched tents in a nearby park, organizing a small ceremony to honor Evelyn, inviting locals to hear her story and learn about her sacrifice. Evelyn, initially reluctant, agreed when she saw Mia, the little girl from the diner, clutching a handmade thank you sign, her Wonder Woman shirt now paired with a paper star crown. The ceremony drew a diverse crowd, veterans with medals pinned to faded jackets, families with strollers, city officials in suits, and curious teenagers with phones raised. Reese spoke, his voice steady, detailing Evelyn's actions in Mosul, how she'd dragged 2 wounded soldiers to safety under a hail of bullets, her own legs shredded by shrapnel as she shielded a third with her body. She didn't stop until every life was secure, he said, pinning a commendation patch to her wheelchair, its fabric gleaming against the black frame. Mia handed Evelyn her sign, her small hands trembling with excitement. "You're like Wonder Woman for real," she exclaimed, her voice carrying over the crowd. Evelyn chuckled, ruffling her dark pigtails. "You're my hero today, Mia." The moment was captured, shared widely, softening the sting of the morning's humiliation, and amplifying her story's reach. But it also brought challenges. Jake's father, a local businessman named Mr. Hargrove, called Lila that afternoon, his voice booming through the phone. "This is ruining my son's reputation. You should apologize for letting this escalate." Lila stood firm, her hands on her hips. "Your son mocked a hero, Mr. Hargrove. Maybe he should apologize." The call ended in a huff, but it left Evelyn uneasy. She didn't want retaliation, only peace. That evening, Liam visited her small apartment, its walls lined with military photos and a faded Afghan rug. "Let's use this attention to do good," he proposed, his eyes bright with ideas. Maybe a support group for vets, somewhere they can feel safe. Evelyn liked the idea, envisioning a space for others like her, scarred but strong, a haven to replace the diner's corner booth. They launched Heart's Haven in a rented community center 2 blocks from the diner, its peeling paint and creaky floors transformed with donations pouring in from the video's viewers, couches, bookshelves, a coffee station. Veterans began gathering, some in wheelchairs, others with invisible wounds like PTSD, sharing stories over steaming mugs. A man named Tom, a Gulf War vet with a limp and a quiet demeanor, became a regular, his presence a steadying force. Evelyn led discussions, her letter from the secretary a focal point, its words read aloud to inspire others to share their own honors. Purple Hearts, Bronze Stars, letters from fallen comrades. Mia's family started volunteering, the girl bringing drawings to brighten the space, stick figures with capes, tanks turning into flower gardens. But not all reactions were positive. A few locals, including Mr. Hargrove, formed a petition to shut down Heart's Haven, citing disruption to the neighborhood, their signatures gathered at upscale coffee shops. Evelyn faced them at a town hall, her wheelchair positioned center, stage, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. "I fought for this country, for your freedom. All I ask is a place to heal with others who did the same." The room applauded, the little girl clapping loudest, the petition faltering under public pressure. The Haven grew, with Liam's unit helping renovate the space, adding a garden out back where vets could tend plants. Marigolds, basil, tomatoes, AE. Therapeutic outlet Tom spearheaded with pride, his calloused hands coaxing life from the soil. Evelyn found purpose again. Her mornings no longer just about survival, but about lifting others. Yet she wondered about Jake. His shame seemed a burden, too. One rainy afternoon, he appeared at the Haven, head down, his flashy sneakers scuffed. "I'm sorry," he mumbled, his voice barely audible. Evelyn nodded, her gaze softening. "Help us here. Sweep, serve coffee, and we'll call it even." He nodded, grabbing a broom, a tentative step toward redemption. Hart's Haven flourished. Its garden, a vibrant oasis of marigolds and basil, the air thick with the scent of earth and possibility. Tom led a weekly art therapy session, his sketches evolving from stark battlefields, sand dunes, burning trucks, into landscapes of hope, rivers winding through green valleys, a reflection of his healing. Mia's drawings adorned the walls, her latest a wheelchair warrior with a halo, crayon colors bold and bright, winning hearts and sparking conversations. Evelyn's leadership drew more veterans, including a woman named Sarah, a former Army nurse who'd lost an arm in Afghanistan and struggled with isolation, her prosthetic hand a silent companion. The Haven faced financial strain, relying on donations and volunteer hours, the coffee station often running dry by afternoon. Liam's unit organized fundraisers, car washes with soldiers in shorts, bake sales with Mia's lopsided cookies, raising enough for a part-time counselor, a soft-spoken woman named Dr. Patel who'd served in Iraq. Sarah opened up in sessions, her story of saving a pilot under mortar fire mirroring Evelyn's courage, forging a bond as they swapped tales over tea. But the petition's echoes lingered, with anonymous letters accusing the Haven of attracting trouble. Graffiti on the walls, complaints about parking. Evelyn confronted the negativity head-on, inviting critics to an open house, the garden lit with string lights, the air filled with the hum of voices. Jake, now a regular volunteer, helped serve coffee, his presence a silent apology, his once cocky grin replaced by a shy smile. The event showcased vet artwork, with Mia's drawing stealing the show, her innocence a stark contrast to the room's hardened faces. A local reporter, Tara Klein, covered it, her article in the Austin Herald shifting public opinion, donations surging, couches, art supplies, a new coffee machine, as the community rallied. Reese visited, bringing news of Henry Tate, a vet Evelyn had saved in Mosul, now thriving in a Montana cabin, teaching survival skills to troubled youth. "You're still saving lives," he said, pinning another patch to her chair, its fabric a vibrant green against the black. The Haven expanded, adding a legal aid desk for vets navigating benefits, staffed by a retired judge, Mr. Daniels, who'd seen Evelyn's video and wept. Her story rippled outward, inspiring a national network of similar havens, with calls coming from Dallas, Seattle, even a small town in Ohio. Jake's father, Mr. Hargrove, attended the open house, his tailored suit out of place among the jeans and flannel. "I misjudged you," he admitted to Evelyn, his voice gruff. "Jake's learning from you." She offered a handshake, healing a rift, his nod a silent promise to drop the petition. The Haven became a family, with Sarah leading a women's support group, her confidence growing as she taught knitting, her prosthetic hand guiding the needles. Evelyn's mornings now included planning sessions, her wheelchair a symbol of resilience, not limitation, the garden's blooms a metaphor for their collective growth. 3 years after the diner incident, Hart's Haven thrived, its garden a vibrant hub of marigolds, basil, and tomatoes, tended by vets finding solace in the soil. Evelyn, now 44, led with quiet strength, her gray sweater softened by time, her bracelet and letter joined by Mia's drawings in a display case. stick figures with capes, tanks turning into flower gardens. Tom's art therapy expanded. Regionally, his workshops in San Antonio and Houston, drawing vets from across Texas, his sketches now sold to fund the Haven. Sarah's group empowered dozens, her knitting circle a sanctuary. The clack of needles a rhythm of healing. The legal desk, under Mr. Daniels, helped hundreds secure benefits, his gavel replaced by a pen. Liam, promoted to lieutenant, visited with his unit, their combat gear swapped for casual shirts, their presence a reminder of that day. "You turned an insult into a movement," he said, hugging her, his boyish grin matured by command. Henry Tate sent a letter, its pages thick with gratitude, thanking her for his renewed life, his words framed beside her honors, a Montana postmark, a testament to his journey. The Haven hosted a National Vet Convention, its community center packed with speakers, generals, therapists, vets, supporters from 20 states, its impact undeniable. Challenges persisted. Funding dips during winter, volunteer burnout after, long shifts, a vandalism incident with spray paint on the garden shed, but Evelyn's resolve never wavered. She recalled the soldier's salute, Mia's drawing, Jake's redemption, fueling her drive. Daniel, a vet friend with a firefighting background, joined as co-director, his steady hands adding structure, his stories of pulling survivors from flames echoing her own rescues. The Haven's sign, now weathered but proud, read, "Where sacrifice finds home." Its letters carved deep by Tom's hand. One evening, as they closed, the garden's lanterns casting a golden glow, Daniel pulled Evelyn into a hug. "Marrying your cause was the best decision," he said, his voice warm, his graying hair catching the light. "It's the family we built, chosen and choosing us back." Evelyn smiled, resting her head on his shoulder, the scent of basil lingering. The best kind of family. The Haven's legacy was in its quiet heroes, seen and honored at last. Tom's art, Sarah's circle, Mia's drawings, Jake's growth, Henry's renewal. Evelyn didn't need a standing ovation. The garden's blooms, the vet's smiles, the soldier's salutes were enough. Her mornings, once marked by solitude, now pulsed with purpose, a ripple from that shattered plate in Lila's diner, proving that sacrifice, once mocked, could build a community. Call to support. If Evelyn's story inspired you, support our channel. Your likes, shares, and subscriptions help us tell more tale.